Since Republicans have taken over control of the House of Representatives, they have held a bunch of these different hearings that are, of course, hearings meant only to virtue signal and meant only to not focus on issues actually facing the country. This includes hearings about big tech or the weaponization of the FBI. And yesterday there was one such hearing in which they brought out the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, to answer questions. Ted Cruz went to law school, and yet he seemed completely confused about how the law works. In this first clip, and these hearings really went wrong so quickly, and we'll talk about what these are really meant to accomplish in a moment. In this first clip, Ted Cruz starts talking about leaks, and Merrick Garland has to explain to him, remember, Cruz is a lawyer, no. That wasn't a leak. That was a court filing. Those are, by definition, made public. Take a listen to this.
As you know, the FBI raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. And subsequent to that raid, there have been multiple leaks about what was discovered there, including a photograph of documents that were discovered there. Did you know about the leaks? The
photograph was a filing in court in response to a motion filed by Mr. Trump. It was not a leak.
So you're testifying there haven't been leaks about the Trump raid and investigation?
I'm responding to the point.
Yeah. Ted Cruz is a lawyer. Doesn't he know how the law works? He went to law school. Well, it doesn't matter because Ted Cruz is there not as someone with some legal knowledge, as rudimentary as it might be. He's there as a performer who is there to attack Merrick Garland and to further a narrative that everything that has gone on with the investigation into Donald Trump has been some kind of politically biased subterfuge or plan or whatever the case may be. Then the subject comes up of protesters outside the homes of Supreme Court justices. And again, I'm guessing Ted Cruz knows this stuff, but Ted Cruz wants to pretend that it is up to Merrick Garland to enforce statutes, but it is actually up to law enforcement on the scene. And it is another one of these just deranged performative moments that Ted Cruz thinks make him look really good.
How do you decide which criminal statutes the DOJ enforces and which one it doesn't?
The United States Marshals know that they have full authority.
I recognize you want to give a separate speech.
No, I don't want to.
How do you decide which statutes you enforce and which ones you don't?
The Marshals on scene make that determination in light of the priority of defense.
The Marshals do not make a determination over whether to prosecute. You, the Attorney General, make a determination, and you spent 20 years as a judge, and you're perfectly content with justices being afraid for their children's lives. And you
this is, understand, this is merely a performance. This is not to investigate or learn a damn thing.
Did nothing to prosecute it. Let's shift to another area.
Can I answer the question?
You cannot. You have refused to answer the question.
I am answering your...
I'm here to perform, Mr. Attorney General, not for you to answer my questions.
The Attorney General does not decide whether to arrest.
How did you choose not to enforce this statute?
The Marshals on scene...
Marshals don't make that decision.
They do make the decision of whether to make an arrest.
Prosecute someone? No, they don't.
If they make
Marshals do not have prosecution.
If they make an arrest, then it goes to the Marshals. Let's change
topics because our time is limited.
The time is limited because Ted Cruz won't actually let the witness answer the questions. And of course, Ted Cruz is blending two different things. Ted Cruz is blending what actions were and weren't taken at the homes of Supreme Court justices, which is completely up to law enforcement, and then as a separate matter wants Merrick Garland to discuss indictments, which are a separate issue to actions taken or not taken at the homes of law enforcement. And again, I know Ted Cruz is like sort of dim, but he's not this dim, and we all know Ted Cruz knows that. Ted Cruz then continues in he's determined to turn this hearing into a farce, which he very easily did. And he starts talking about what is effectively a conspiracy theory for which there is no evidence, arguing that the Department of Justice leaked about investigating Hunter Biden to serve as a pretext to indict Trump by being able to say, see, we're nonpartisan. If that's confusing to you, if that doesn't make sense to you, it's because it doesn't make sense.
Toward that end, the Department of Justice has leaked that DOJ is investigating and intends to indict Hunter Biden. The purpose of those leaks, I believe, was to set the predicate for an indictment of Trump. To say, look how even-handed we are. We're indicting a Biden, we're indicting a Trump. Those leaks are not law.
Speculation, conspiracy theory, unfounded, no evidence, and also not a question to the witness that is there. But remember, these hearings in sum total are performances. That's what they are meant to be. That's what they are meant to be. Another interesting moment was in this exchange with Ted Cruz. Merrick Garland points out, you know, some of you Republican senators are arguing that we leak to help the left. Now you're saying the leaks are to help the right. It's all incoherent, but good for Merrick Garland for pointing it out.
The answer is...
The leaks are consistently on one side of the aisle advancing one political agenda.
So it doesn't seem to me, Attorney General, that the FBI has a lot of confidence in you, because what they're doing clearly is trying to distance themselves from your decisions. They're out there leaking left, right, and center and saying it wasn't us. We didn't want to do it. He made us do it.
Right.
What's that say about their confidence in your leadership?
So understand here, and Garland will address it. Cruz is arguing you're making all these leaks to help the left. And Josh Hawley is saying the leaks are coming out actually from people who don't agree with you in order to help the right.
No, the previous senator said that they're leaking all in favor of the left. Now you're saying they're leaking all in favor of
I'm asking you my question. Answer my question based on this evidence. Don't dissemble, Attorney General.
Time has expired.
Answer my question.
Time has expired. Senator Cotton.
Yeah. So Merrick Garland accurately figuring out what the story is here, and it's a story that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Here is Merrick Garland then debunking the Republican talking point about the FBI being used on parents. Remember, this was floating around for a while. Oh, they're sending the FBI, they're declaring parents to be domestic terrorists if they go to school board meetings, and the FBI is getting involved. This was during questioning from Senator John Kennedy.
Didn't you understand?
By the way, isn't John Kennedy insufferable?
The chilling effect that it would have to parents when you issued your directive, when you directed your criminal divisions and your counterterrorism divisions to investigate parents who were angry at school boards and administrators during COVID?
So, Senator, if you just give me a moment to put the full context, I did not do that. I did not issue any memorandum directing the investigation of parents who were concerned about their children. Quite to the contrary, the memorandum that you're talking about says at the very beginning of the memorandum that vigorous public debate is protected by the First Amendment. And the kind of concerns that you're talking about are, as expressed by parents, are, of course, completely protected. The memorandum was aimed at violence and threats of violence against a whole host of school personnel. It was not aimed at parents making complaints to their school board. And it came in the context of a whole series of other kinds of violent threats and violence against other public officials.
Yeah. They don't care. They're just getting the question on the record. You have to understand, Merrick Garland's doing the best he can, but all of these questions are just performances. And these are sort of like auditions for who's going to get on Hannity later on last night. Another interesting moment, Senator Marsha Blackburn told Merrick Garland she's going to send him a bunch of Twitter.
You told me earlier that you didn't know who Jane's Revenge is. They are all over Twitter. I'm going to do you a favor. I am going to send you a letter with a whole lot of Twitter and different feeds to help you in that.
She's going to help him by sending him feeds.
Investigation for the Hope Clinic.
Yeah. Marsha Blackburn will help the Department of Justice by sending Merrick Garland a whole bunch of Twitter. Once a viewer sent me a whole bunch of Alta Vista. I barely knew what to do with it. It was really crazy. And then lastly, here is a Republican senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton, asking Merrick Garland, why did the DOJ not arrest protesters outside the homes of Supreme Court justices? Listen to how that went.
consider the efforts your department has put into tracking down everyone who was even on the Capitol grounds on January 6, 2021.
Yeah.
You've dedicated million of man hours to study videotape, to do forensic analysis of computers and devices, to go knock and conduct interviews. You can't allocate just a few agents to look at people's social media accounts and say they were present outside of a justice's home. We're going to go arrest them and charge them. It's a black letter violation of the law.
Our priority is violence and threats of violence and protection of the lives of the justices, and that is what we're doing.
Yeah. Why did you spend all this time trying to figure out who all of the criminals were on January 6th? And yet you're not out there trying to figure out who stood holding a sign outside of a Supreme Court justice's house. Why? Isn't that evidence of bias? Well, no, we're focused on violence and threats of violence. So that's why we did things the way we did them. So listen, this probably accomplished its goals insofar as it was meant to be a performative display of repeating the half and dim-witted concerns of the Fox News audience, quite frankly, who only has these concerns because the very same people on these panels told them, here's what you need to be concerned about. And so it probably accomplished that goal. Merrick Garland did absolutely fine, but every single one of these hearings, just a complete and total faceplant. And they're not going to stop because they're then going to use these hearings to justify, we did things, we accomplished things, even though these hearings accomplish nothing. One of our sponsors today is Magic Spoon, the breakfast cereal with the crunchy, sweet goodness you love, but with high quality ingredients, less sugar, and more protein. Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar. It's packed with 13 to 14 grams of protein and just 4 to 5 net carbs. So it's great if you're doing keto or low carb, or if just like me, you're trying to limit your sugar intake. They have many unique flavors, so you'll never get bored. My personal favorite is maple waffle, but I grew up in New England, so maybe that's why maple, They also have cocoa, fruity, frosted peanut butter, blueberry muffin, honey nut, cookies and cream, cinnamon roll. Sometimes there's really just no substitute for sitting down with a nice bowl of cereal. Who doesn't love that? When the mood strikes, go for something more wholesome with plenty of protein and without all the sugar. If you don't love Magic Spoon as much as I do and our team does, Magic Spoon will refund all of your money, no questions asked. Simply go to magicspoon.com/Pacman. You can create a custom bundle and use the code Pacman for $5 off. The link is down below.